Gary,
What's up, Elle?
today is Valentine's Day, and some people are going to be spending it with their loved ones, having dinner, getting flowers,
Oh, sounds nice.
staring into each other's eyes lovingly. But you know what I'm going to be doing?
Do go on.
I'm going to be jujuing on that beat. Let's go!
You and Omar under some freak.
Welcome to the L. Duncan Show. There's zero chance if I asked you if you know how to juju on that beat, you would know.
Okay, first of all, I feel like that's a little presumptuous.
Oh, okay. Why? Go ahead. Then juju on that beat.
No, Elle, you know that I've been dealing with this back issue. Otherwise, I would.
Oh,
Are
really?
you serious? I don't know how to juju on that beat.
Right, you just kind of
Huh.
throw your arms out like, ah, you
What are you doing right there? Because I know that's
kind
not
of
what
just
you claim it to be.
I know I'm gonna get like flamed in the comments. I'm like, that's not how you do that. Ew.
Deservedly
Well,
so.
it's hard to juju on that beat when you're sitting behind a chair. But man, like it's Friday, it's Valentine's Day.
Yep.
Last night was a freaking classic. JuJu Watkins, you are I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe what JuJu Watkins is. Of course, we had a huge matchup, the Battle of LA, USC, UCLA, the last unbeaten team, 23 and 0 coming in. They've taken down everybody. They've taken down South Carolina. They've been in the number one spot pretty much this whole entire year. And USC was, last week coming off a game where they lost to Iowa, a team they weren't supposed to lose to on Caitlin Clark retirement day. And so, there were some questions, right? Like, is Juju enough? Can their defense step up? Like, what is this USC team actually? And as we get closer to the tournament, like, are they a real contender like we believe them to be at the beginning of the year? And that performance yesterday was emphatic and resounding. Hell yes, we are for real, especially if JuJu Watkins gets going. I mean, it was her best performance probably in recent memory. I'm sure someone will remind me of another one because she tends to do this a lot. 38 points, 11 rebounds. And despite all of that, she also had 8 blocks. Like it was watching that game yesterday. I was like, oh, she is putting this team on her back. And she's like, I am not going to let us fail. And on top of that, Gary, because it is a team effort, obviously, their defense was fantastic. I mean, the Trojans came in as a really solid team in terms of protecting the ball. They had 20 turnovers. That ended up being 21 points for SC, which is obviously the difference in the game.
Mm.
I mean, just stifling defense. I think UCLA came in shooting almost 50% from the field, and the Trojans held them to 35% from the field. So it was a top to bottom, like that's the recipe. You let Juju cook, you let her do what she's doing, and you have stifling defense. You really step up and take pride in your defense. You're going to beat some big teams.
UCLA with Lauren Betts, who I think everybody up to this point says is probably going to be the player of the year, going head to head against JuJu Watkins, who had 38, who were down in the second half of this game. The defense sort of shut down the Bruins to hand them their first loss. This is all good, well, and fine. I understand the hype that followed JuJu from last season's freshman year to this year. She scored 38. Kiki Arifin had 13. Nobody else was in double digits.
Mm-hmm.
This is this is good, but this is the only sport where you can't have your cast of characters also help you supplement and you can get away with being great because they have the best player in the country. One of the best players in the country does USC. But I see a couple of issues in that a starter was held scoreless, two other starters had 3 points, 7 points, and their bench had like 7 points total. That's an issue. That's an
I,
issue for
I
me.
mean,
I'm not trying to be a hater.
it's not that you're a hater. I think you're probably like nitpicking a little bit. They just beat the number one team, and they
Correct.
beat them like resoundingly.
Sure.
On top of that, again, like again, these games are measuring stick games, and they're
Yep.
also in preparation for the tournament. It's all about the tournament, right? And like how you stack up. They have shown, yeah, like Lauren Betts. If you look at the stat line, like she was super solid in the game. I think she had 18
18
points,
points.
13 rebounds. So that stat line's really good. But Lauren Betts has been dominant this year. And that's why UCLA has been undefeated. And she really wasn't. She wasn't dominant in that game. And I also think that, again, like, the other surprising part, not surprising because JuJu is one of the best players in the country and certainly very much in the conversation for National Player of the Year. We'll get to that in a second. But she had of late been in a bit of a shooting slump. I mean, in their last game before they played UCLA, they played Ohio State and she started 0 for 10 from the field and ended up finishing 5 for 21, right? So hadn't been shooting in the same way. Her numbers now are very similar to last year,
Hmm.
which we already know was a revelation freshman, of the year last year. But I just think like this was a great sort of the atmosphere was great at the Galen Center. JuJu gets out of her shooting slump and is incredibly efficient because that's the thing that you need. Like she's gonna get the load share and the lion's share of the offensive looks, but she has to be efficient for them to actually win these games and compete against these really top tier teams, apart from the other teams in the Big Ten that they've already faced. And she did that yesterday. It was, I think her coach called it otherworldly, Lindsay Gottlieb, and I would probably say that as well. It was absolutely fantastic. So no, I'm not nitpicking it like, well, the bench and the this, like, are those things a concern ultimately and things they need to clean up? Yes. But like, this is their biggest test of the season. They're facing their crosstown rivals, the number one team in the country,
Hmm.
who's undefeated, and they beat them handedly. And you've got to feel good about that if you're a Trojan fan.
Is UCLA now sort of on that South Carolina tip where, okay, cool. Well, the undefeated season talk is out the window. Now we could just focus on like winning the title.
For UCLA?
Yeah.
I mean, US, like South Carolina is used to sort of this idea. They like never lose games. In fact, they haven't lost a home game since December of 2020. Like it's ridiculous, right? So they're used to sort of the pressure of having to, for the most part, go through a season with the expectation that you're going to lose none or maybe one or two games, but probably none, right? Like UCLA is not in that same bag. And this exact same team last year lost more than one game. So, like, yes, I do believe that there's a little bit of a we can get that monkey off our back. Don's talked about that as well.
Sure.
Certainly, you don't want to go into March losing games, but this is a formidable opponent. This was not, it's disappointing for UCLA. They had a 7 point lead in the second half, but ultimately, like this is tough competition. I mean, USC is one of the best
Yeah.
teams in the country. But yeah, so I think like ultimately, do I think our producer popped into the thing like, do you really think that USC is that much better than UCLA? I don't think it's that. I mean, I think there's a little bit of the same thing that had Iowa beating, USC. It was at home. The environment was electric. And this was a
UCLA
statement
also
game.
had 20 turnovers.
That's what I'm saying. That yeah, and they
20
normally, but
tur
again,
20
that's the
turnovers
credit.
on the road. That's so uncharacteristic of them. I
Exactly.
see more issues with how UCLA lost this game than how USC won this
But then
game.
you're not giving any credit to the Trojans
I'm
defense,
not
which was
taking that away.
fantastic and forced those 20 turnovers.
I'm not, no, I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying when you have an uncharacteristic game from an otherwise, team that's played so cohesive up to a undefeated record at 23-0 this far into the season, that's anomalous. So, only 10
Yeah.
games left in the regular season, so we're going to find out soon enough.
Yeah, we
Sir.
are. And in terms of like, again, everything that we're doing right now is sort of with March on our mind. And Charlie Cream, who is the women's bracketologist, he is the women's basketball version of Joe Lenardi, bracket bay. He doesn't think that that USC's win is enough to get them on the one line, right? So that they could be a one seed yet,
Oh,
because of just the resumes of the teams that are ahead of them: Texas, South Carolina, Notre Dame, and
Notre
UCLA,
Dame,
who up
UCLA.
until yesterday was undefeated.
Yeah.
But certainly this is, I think he brought up a great point, which is really true. And we're going to talk about this in College Game Day when we're in South Carolina for the South Carolina UConn game on Sunday, is the parity. And like legitimately, 1 through 6, there's a ton of parity, especially after we saw Texas beat South Carolina. Like, this is what we want. This is very exciting. These tournaments have been great and they have delivered and they've been awesome the last few years, but we've also always gone in the last couple of years with a very clear cut favorite. Like, it's South Carolina, they're undefeated, right? Like, that's kind of where we've been. And this year, it really is like, if you ask most people in this space, like, who do you think is going to win the national championship? It's a whole lot of like, I honestly don't know. We're no longer saying it's blah, blah, blahs to lose, right? Which I think is super
Yeah.
exciting when you talk about intrigue and parity coming up in March.
I'm taking a look at the AP Top 25, and this is before they get adjusted after UCLA's loss, which, by the way, they got every single first place vote, deservedly so. They were 23-0 going into this game. Um, Seven of the eight teams at this point have two or fewer losses. UConn being the only one who's ranked in the top 10 that does have three. But yeah, no, to your point, it's either one or two losses, 1 through 8 at this point.
Right. And so the other thing that this game did, because we're all reactionary, in particular for some of these player of the year races, is lead us to sort of this conversation about the national player of the year. In fact,
Lauren Betts.
they perfect. Let's not discuss it then.
It's
They
Lauren
just
Betts.
released the new, sort of favorites for the national player of the year race. Lauren Betts is now the favorite to win
Oh,
player of the year. Um, do we think that that was in any way impacted by what we saw yesterday?
okay. So she had 18, which is a tick below her season average of 20. But I think when you take a look at the entire body of work, she had 13 rebounds, a block in last night's loss, and
Mhm.
UCLA had the lead into this game. It was only the fourth quarter where they were absolutely shut down. So you might take a look at this and be like, wow, Lauren Betts, you are literally the biggest, strongest, most force your will upon anybody player in this game. You should have asserted your will in this game. I don't think that you can take a loss like this away from her UCLA being on the road because we don't. I mean, gosh, I'm gonna look like a fool because it was probably recent. But when's the last time we saw like a big dominate in the way that she has actually been dominating on a number one overall team?
Probably Camila Cardoso last year.
Okay. Understanding South Carolina, Camila Cardoso was a transfer. Was she the focal point of the team, would you say?
Yes.
Okay, both
Yes.
offensively and defensively. Okay, and
Yes.
that's the name that I had in my head, but I guess I don't know. I guess we were so immersed in it, it felt regular. Maybe because we knew about her, it felt regular. I don't know. Lauren Betts seems to me like she's dominating every game that she plays in, except maybe last night. Am I
Yeah,
tripping now?
I'm with you. I don't I think it's so reactionary for her to not still be in that position. She's been a dominant player on up to this point what was the only remaining undefeated team, and it's not like they haven't played anybody. It's not like an
Yeah,
asterisk, right? Like they've played plenty of people and she's been fantastic. For a while it looked like it was a two-man race between her and Hannah Hidalgo, but now per these newest results, JuJu Watkins is now right behind Lauren Betts as second
Mhm.
favorite, then Hannah, and then Paige Bueckers rounding out the top four. But again, like there's so many big moments and games coming. Like if Paige Bueckers goes off on Sunday and those odds come back out again, like she's gonna go back up, right? Like we're gonna be a
Yeah,
bit reactionary with this, but you really can't go wrong with any of those four players. I would say Lauren Betts has just been the most consistent.
sure.
But Hannah Hidalgo, I've said this 100 million times. Like, I think that Notre Dame is one of the most complete teams. They have hands down the best backcourt. They've got a big four, and Hannah Hidalgo is otherworldly. Her ability, how she impacts a game, the pace that she plays at, like she's such a disruptor. I mean, she's amazing. And then of course you've got Paige Bueckers, who I think is still sort of trying to find her signature game. Like one of those games they don't give a ton of respect to the Big East. So people really only judge UConn by the measuring stick games, the ranked teams that they play. And so far, and they've acknowledged this, they're 0-3 in those games, right? They didn't beat Tennessee, they didn't beat Notre Dame, they didn't beat SC. And so I think like Paige having a really big moment against a team like a South Carolina is I think would really help her in the race as well.
So who would you give your vote to right now?
Lauren Betts probably.
Okay.
But again, after what I saw yesterday from Juju, it's just like it's so hard. It's so hard to just not like to dismiss. It just was beautiful basketball. And one more thing before we move on, because I just have to say, like, again, how often in sports, Gary, and it's our job. A lot of times these games are, of course, on our network. We have a vested interest in promoting
Mhm.
the hell out of them and hyping them up so that you'll watch. But a lot of times we do that, and then the game itself sucks, and it's like, oh God, like we told you this was going to be like the game of the year, and then it was horrible, right? Like imagine all the people on what was it? Who had the Super Bowl this year? Was it Fox,
Fox.
CBS, Fox,
Fox.
Fox? Could you imagine? It's like you hype it up, it's gonna be the game of the year, and then it sucks. And it doesn't matter. People are gonna watch the football no
Oh yeah,
matter
the
what.
numbers came out. It's the highest rated Super Bowl
Ever.
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 120, 126, 126 million.
120, yeah, but like at some point, I think it peaked at 133 million viewers. Like they're going to tune in even if it's a blowout. But in spaces like this, you need the games to be good. You need them to be interesting. You need to deliver on what we promised, and they just keep doing it. Like these
Yeah.
games are so good. And yesterday was a classic. And now our producer's asking us, is LA the new place to play now between UCLA and USC? I mean, probably next year. Lauren Betts just acknowledged that she'll come back for her last year of eligibility. So she'll be at
Oh
UCLA for at
wow.
least one more year. Yeah,
Okay.
which is gonna be great. Um, I think still like when I still think about the epicenter of basketball, like it's
You,
still the dynastic team. It's Columbia.
it's
And
it's
it
everything
is.
east of the Mississippi to me. It's the Tennessees, it's the Notre Dames, it's the South Carolinas, and I mean, honestly, to a certain extent, it's the UConns. I understand they're not, the UConn that we, come to know, right? But those are still like the teams that you talk about in the national conversation. And then, oh yeah, it's USC is good this year. Oh, UCLA is regaining form this year. I think those are a little bit more hit and miss, generally speaking. But for me, it's those four teams that are always in the conversation.
No, that's a cop out. No, no, no,
No,
no,
it's
no, no. No. Okay, we don't have 12 nations capitals. If we have to have a nation capital for basketball, which city is it?
it's Stores, Connecticut.
You still believe that?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
definitely. Gino
Haven't
Auriemma,
won haven't won a championship since 2016.
Gino Auriemma, longest tenured. How many does he have?
A lot.
Not double digits. You can count them on two.
9.
You can count them on two hands. He almost needs a third hand to count them all. It's still UConn, still UConn to the extent that Governor Ned Lamont. Do you remember when Connecticut?
He has 11. He has 11
Okay,
national
yeah, okay.
championships.
Boom. It's still UConn, the epicenter of the college basketball world, not just in women's but in men's, is Stores, Connecticut. I mean, back-to-back
Oh, you're
champs.
going all okay, so you're including the men. If you include the
No, no, no,
men,
no.
sure.
I'm saying including as an aside the men. But when you think of women's basketball, at least for me, I think of UConn, I think of Tennessee, and then recently I think of South Carolina. Ned Lamont put those freaking signs at the border that say, "Welcome to Connecticut, the basketball capital of the world."
Well, because what else is he going to say? Home of the steamed hamburger?
Okay, well, that's New Haven, and he wouldn't be lying. Okay, the birthplace of the cheeseburger. And by the way, those things smack. They're delicious. But it's still UConn. It's still UConn.
I find it so interesting though that like okay you can make an argument for UConn sure especially because of longevity and consistency but Tennessee hasn't won a national championship since 2008. Like I don't agree with you that Tennessee is the epicenter of basketball.
I'm
It's
saying
not.
there.
It's
I'm
not.
saying when
I,
you talk about the programs that are synonymous with women's college basketball.
That's not what I said, though.
What
Yes,
did you
the
say?
programs that are synonymous with women's basketball, of course. It's like UConn, Tennessee, and then you start filling in Notre Dame, South Carolina, right? Like more recently,
That
in
was
the
my
last
top
couple of
four.
years, LSU. I'm saying, what is the capital? What is the epicenter of women's basketball right now?
UConn, UConn,
Okay.
Stores, Connecticut. What do you say?
I say Columbia, South Carolina, because they're a dynasty.
Okay. And
Because at least over the last 10 years, like they're the most consistent team because Don has 3 national championships
so what do
in
you
the same
call
span that Gino has none. And like that's not a knock on Gino. He acknowledges all the time. He's like, they're
that
gonna run me
sounded
out of
like a
here.
knock on
No,
Gino.
it's not. It's not because I mean the man has 11 titles. Like you're never
Correct.
gonna knock Gino Ariema at all. All I'm saying is in the time that Gino won his last national championship, Don's won 3. So I don't
I
understand how Columbia is not.
I hear you. So let me ask you this question. If Don Staley with 3 is dynastic, what then is Gino Auriemma with 11 at
I
UConn?
mean, legacy. Like
Yeah.
but here's the thing though, dude, dynasties move. We know that. Like you were a fan of a dynasty. The
That's
Patriots are
true.
no longer a dynasty. Now it's the Chiefs. Like that's how dynasties work.
Don't make this about
That's
me,
how
though.
dynasties work, homie. Like UConn will go down always as the greatest dynasty of all time because 11 titles is absolutely absurd. And in
Boom.
the Stewie years, winning one every single year is actually insane. And I'm not begrudging that. I'm talking about currently, right now, this moment.
Hmm.
The epicenter of football used to be New England. It isn't anymore. And that's not a knock on what New England did. Like they're going to go down as maybe the best, in my mind, dynasty ever in history because the
Yeah.
other dynastic teams didn't have to deal with free agency and all that other shit. But it's not there anymore. It's now Kansas City and it's the same thing. Like you can acknowledge that UConn and what they've done it will never happen again, by the way. Like it
Hmm.
just won't. I don't see
Yeah.
it because of NIL, because of turnover and all those other things. But like to say that currently, right now, at this very moment, that a team that's won 3 national championships since UConn won their last one, to say that they're not the epicenter of basketball, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know what else you want. They not only that, they
I
have
think.
like the longest Colonial Life Arena where South Carolina plays has like the largest fan attendance, the longest sold out streak. Like
Mhm.
that is a basket. They have 2 statues
I'm
of basketball related women in the state capitol. They have
I'm not
Asia Wilson
arguing.
out front, and then they have Dawn Staley going outside of the state capitol. Like,
I'm not opposing your position on South Carolina right now being the epicenter of women's college basketball. I'm saying when you recount in retrospect the story of women's college basketball in our era, we're both millennials, where would the story originate? Where would it spend most of its time? Where would
UConn, of course, but we're talking about 2 different things.
what are
You're
we
talking about history and
we're talking
legacy. I'm
about we're
talking about
talking
right
about
now. What is the capital of women's basketball? What is it right now?
the
Right now.
place to be. So with a recruit, you're a 5 star. You're highly recruited. It's going to be between South Carolina and UConn. You're going to either choose to play with Don Staley or Gino Auriemma. It's a coin flip, in my estimation. But I think when you the epicenter of what women's college basketball has become has to run through UConn.
Yes, I am not arguing that. That was
And
not the
now I
question
understand your
there.
viewpoint. Now I understand your point
Yeah.
of view. You're talking about presently, right now.
Right now.
Understood.
Like
Understood.
if
I'm not.
someone
I'm
asked you
not
like,
opposing you.
what's the dynasty team in the NFL? Who would you say?
I'm not opposed. It's the Eagles right now.
Okay.
Hey,
Good God. I can't with this man.
2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win. They got one 7 years ago.
This guy.
Hey,
Yeah,
Jalen
two
Hurts
Super
is
Bowls in 7 years. That's not a dynasty.
Jalen Hurts is 3 years younger than Patrick Mahomes. They're gonna be right back. He smiled one time. All right, after winning
Okay,
the
so
Super
you're
Bowl.
projecting a dynasty, but that's not an actual dynasty. Correct. It's
L,
fine.
listen, I think we're saying the same thing.
We're not. We're not.
We're
We
agreeing.
are we are having 2 totally different discussions actually.
We're agreeing.
I keep asking you about current and you keep saying go back to 1993. I'm like, no, 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 no.
You don't even gotta go that far back. You only gotta go back less than a decade. But no, I understand. I see what you're saying. And I guess to answer Christina's question, how about this? It's not anywhere West Coast. Yes, UCLA and USC having their moments. They've been good. They've been in the national spotlight, but everything still runs through South Carolina. And until somebody beats them, it is them otherwise. I understand that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I just think because of UCLA and USC, simply because it feels a little bit like recency bias to say that, just because they've
Mhm.
been really good teams for
There it
a
is.
season and a half now.
Yeah.
But neither one of them have a championship, so I'm just, I just like we can't. I think, and Dawn actually talked about this, and I'm interested, and I'm going to talk to her about it as well. She talked about how like after they lost to Texas, how all anybody does is complain when they win. They don't say anything about when they win because they're supposed to, right? Well, you're supposed to win at South Carolina. And then when they lose, it's Chicken Little, the sky is falling. That
Mhm.
and she's just like, I just think it's like a little bit of like greatness fatigue. And I'm 100% with her.
Definitely.
It's just apathy towards a team that it's like, oh, they're undefeated again. Oh, they haven't lost at home in almost half a decade. And I think that's really like what is affecting South Carolina
Mhm.
in the same way that like people would say, years ago, well, we don't watch women's basketball because UConn's going to win every year, so it's not even fun or interesting.
Yeah.
And instead of recognizing and acknowledging the greatness of winning every year and how hard that is and difficult, and even more so now, it's much more difficult to win consistently because again, parity, NIL, people paying.
Yeah.
So like these women have more options. facilities have improved. Like all of these reasons make it much more difficult to win consistently. And that's what South Carolina does. Because even if they're not winning the national championship, like they're in that.
Yes. Which you and I, even though we just spent the last 5 minutes disagreeing, and then we'll move on, we do agree in that sense. We're we're
Yes.
we're in the minority in that sense, not just because we're in the literal minority. Shout it out, L. But no,
God.
because I think both you and I appreciate greatness, no matter what sport it is. I
Sure.
know I certainly do. When I know I'm watching something that everybody, talking heads that we work with, are like, we have never seen this amount of greatness in this short span of time. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yes.
This is cool. I love seeing greatness. I love seeing and looking up and be like, damn, no one's ever done that. Damn, no one's ever going to do that. Damn, nobody was able to achieve that. I love seeing that.
Me
So,
too. I am so attracted. I always joked back in the day that like I am the most attracted to talent. I don't even care what
yeah.
you look like or how tall you are or any of those things, physical attributes. Like it'd be
Uh-huh.
nice if you were decent looking. But I just love talented people, whatever their talent is, being great at it, like doing the
Yeah.
best at it and excelling and like reaching these great benchmarks. Like I'm super into it and I think it's great. I do. I think it's tough in our role in media because
Yeah.
we have to come up with storylines that are interesting to fans. And largely, fans get very bored with that.
Yeah.
They want, like, tell me what I don't know. I already know the Chiefs are good. Tell me what I don't know. Tell me who I should be like, betting on, who's an underdog. Tell me who I should be like looking at. That's
Hmm.
what they're looking for. And because that's the nature of our job in media, it does appear that way. We're trying to serve the fan who sadly just doesn't care about greatness in many ways, unless you're, of course, a fan of that team. And so we're trying to serve them. But unfortunately, sometimes what we're also do is feeding into that the idea that like of this apathy or neutrality to greatness and not recognizing how amazing it is to be doing what they did. It's why last year I tried every single time I could. And even when we were getting ready for this year of college women's basketball, to remind everyone that, yeah, you just expect South Carolina to do this because they're South Carolina and you keep hearing about them and they're a dynasty, but they lost all their starters, y'all.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have a single starter come back and
Everybody gone.
they lost 33, they lost 70% of their offense. Like they were out there playing freshmen in the national championship, like true freshmen, not even redshirt freshmen.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all. Like that's crazy. And like Kim said it, 10 All-Americans is
Yeah,
absurd.
it's
Like that's
stupid.
actually mental. So I just think, we need to try our best to, yes, inform you about other things that you don't know and people that you don't know and all that. But ultimately, like we also need to recognize and acknowledge greatness when we see it.
L, real quick before we move on, I know a lot of people picked up on you being attracted to talent. Did I tell you that I changed my name to Talent? Aha ha. Oh, it's Valentine's Day. It's the day of love.
I'm choking on all this love.
Correct.
It is, in fact, Valentine's Day. Gary, do you have Valentine's Day plans?
I do, L. Gonna hang out with the shorty. Um, we just spent a couple of days skiing. So actually it was less skiing, more like cleaning the house, but we're cooling, we're
Mm,
chilling. L,
that
I'm
sounds romantic.
we talked about this last time. It's like, all right, you're at the stage where like, all right, cool. Let me get you a little something, but we're just gonna it's just February 14th.
Yeah, it's just a Friday.
It's just a Friday
It's a Friday.
to which we could all celebrate.
Yeah. Well, honestly, Valentine's Day is a sham. I'm sorry. I am that person that
The
feels that
candies
way.
are good though. Valentine's Day has the best candy because I'm a big chocolate guy. I like a little something sweet.
Yeah. I like those little candy hearts.
That's what. Oh, whoa,
That have
whoa,
messages. Yeah, they're
whoa.
like peeps. They're like Valentine's Day version of peeps. It's kind of like small doses. Just for in honor of this celebration, I'll pop a peep for Easter, but then I'm like never gonna have one ever
What?
again.
For, no, L, those are the worst candies of all time. And I'm generally not like one of those people who take positions. They're all chalky. You know what I mean? They don't really taste like anything. They make them in Massachusetts, by the way. It's like one factory. It
Oh
just keeps
wow.
keeps keeps them afloat. Damn, you buy them or you just like you'll peel one off if you see one at work
I'll
today.
peel one off. I don't like buy them.
Okay, well, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You
But my
sounded.
favorite candy growing up was Smarties. So I'm kind of into like
Oh,
chalky discs.
see, you're an OG, L.
Yeah.
See, I know. Listen, I know that you're living that luxury lifestyle these days, but I know the real L Duncan comes out every now and again.
every now and again.
Every now and again, she'll be like, "Yo, I'll drink RC Cola and eat a couple Smarties,
RC
and I'll
Cola. Can
eat
you
the
even
ends of the
find
bread."
that anymore?
It's on the bottom shelf, Elle. I know your eyes don't go down go down that way. You know, you're sort of mid-tier and higher. It's on the bottom shelf. Okay.
Okay. Good to know. Nothing says quality like bottom shelf. But in honor of Valentine's Day, we figured we'd run through some stories of some heartbreak.
Oh,
Just to
okay.
make people feel good. Because like if you are single or you're recently detached from a relationship, then this can be a tough day for
That's a new
people.
word.
Detached, yeah.
Recently detached.
Yeah. Conscious uncoupling.
Oh my
If
God.
that's happened to you, it can be tough, to have this day of love and Cupid and everyone all
Yeah.
over Instagram and TikTok and Twitter talking about their loved one. So let's just make fun of some people that also got rejected, like Aaron Rodgers. Oh man, they broke up, him and the Jets. I mean, everybody knew it was coming. Everybody
Mhm.
knew it was coming. But they made it official yesterday, Thursday, by breaking up with them, saying they're going to move on. They don't want you no mas. My favorite thing was like, they post a picture of Aaron, it's like one of, from the back, he's like
Yeah.
raising his arm to the crowd. They're like, thank you for an amazing 2 years. I'm like, what? And then it started going around. Hey, everybody. Hey, Jets fans, quick, name your favorite Aaron Rodgers moment. I'm like, right. Like, what are we doing here, dude?
Greeny was
But
at the
yeah,
front of that line.
who do you think, first of all, you think Aaron Rodgers should just retire or you think he should go play for another team?
I don't think he should go play for another team. I think that you are now looking at the next quarterback of your Las Vegas Raiders.
Why would, but here's my thing. Here's my thing about Aaron Rodgers and like what he's going to do next.
Okay.
No legitimate contender needs him. You're going to go join like what's the goal here? Because like I was on First Take yesterday and this news broke. So we did the story and Stephen A's like, I just don't think he wants to go out like this, just like Travis Kelce. He doesn't want to go out like this. And I'm like, okay, but Travis Kelce still currently is rostered on a contender.
Mhm.
What would be an acceptable way for Aaron Rodgers to go out?
I mean, I honestly think, in all seriousness, I think the Raiders will be in the mix. And I honestly think, depending on what,
But why would you? But that's not what
oh,
I'm asking you. What's the expectation if you're Aaron Rodgers? Because you go to the Raiders and to do what? To still be the fourth best team in
yeah,
that division?
no,
You want to go sign up to be in a division with the
it's a tough,
Chiefs, the Broncos who are getting better, the Chargers those are three playoff
yeah,
teams. You really want to go join that division so that you can do what? What's a good way to go out?
it
7 wins? Is that a
it
good
doesn't
way to go
matter.
out?
It's Aaron Rodgers going out the way he wants to on his terms, everything else be damned. Finishing a season, completing a season.
That's where we're at. That's what I'm saying, Gary. That sounds pathetic. This man is a Hall of Famer, a
Yeah.
four-time MVP, a Super Bowl champ. That sounds crazy. So your goal in putting a cap on one of the greatest quarterback careers that we've ever seen is to just play a full season?
Well,
That's the
nobody's
goal.
gonna.
That's going out on top. Not
Hell,
everybody gets a fairy tale ending, Gary. Like they don't get that. They
I
don't get their
understand that.
John Elway moment. They don't get their Peyton Manning moment. It's okay.
I understand that. And you know the saying where it's like you follow a legend. You don't want to be the guy who follows the legend. You want to be the guy who follows the guy who follows the legend. Aaron Rodgers, after leaving Green Bay, there is such a gross taste in everybody's mouth, whether you're an Aaron Rodgers fan or not, with the way the last 2 years went down. So if he has a buffer zone with another team, whoever it may be, and he puts together any semblance of an old Aaron Rodgers season, that if we're talking about legacy and how's this guy want to be remembered, even if he even cares to be remembered as a football player, at all in that sense, even though I think everybody's ego sort of leans that way, he puts together a decent season. That's what people will remember, and not the most recent way you went out, which was being an absolute dumpster fire the last 2 years on the Jets. So honestly, El, in that regard, I think going to a team, having a quiet 8-9 season, 9-8 season, maybe flirt with a wild card. That would be a big dub in pushing the Aaron Rodgers narrative to a little bit more positive as he basically stares down retirement. If he
Gotcha.
even
So
if
so
he
so basically when we want to give him a consolation game. We want to
Yeah,
we in the
yeah.
elimination tournament, we want to give him the losers bracket win. Oh,
We
okay.
don't. He wants to.
You think he wants to get a loser's bracket win, a consolation prize? Well, at least you just ended on better vibes. Okay.
I don't think that he wants to be remembered with the way he just went out with the Jets. What do you say? If it's
I
not the
don't
Raiders, who's it going to be? The Vikings or the Browns or
No, I don't think the other popular name right now is the Steelers, but we literally have like Steelers players posting on Deshaun Elliott posted there was like an Instagram that was basically saying like Aaron Rodgers Steelers are the favorite to land Aaron Rodgers and he was like we don't want his keep him in the retirement community. Like they actively don't want him there. My thing is with Aaron Rodgers is that of course like there's the football element of it. He's not who he was. I don't think that those 28 touchdowns even come close to giving a full picture of how bad that offense was. And it's not like he
Mhm.
didn't have weapons. It's not like he was thrown to nobody.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't think like apart from that, fine. Like, is he better than a Kirk Cousins option? Hell yeah, right? Like, I don't think he's personally better than a Sam Darnold option because even though Sam Darnold spit the bit in the last two games of the season,
yeah.
he helped win them 14 freaking games.
Well,
Like,
that's if
and
the
he's
guy teams can
28 years
retain him.
old. And he's
Yeah,
he's he's 28 years old. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a lot cheaper than a Sam Darnold would be, Like I can't anticipate someone paying him a ton more than the veteran minimum, but like why but what apart from just the football part of it, you're also bringing in the Aaron Rodgers
correct.
experience, the
Yeah.
extracurriculars, the all the other stuff that comes along with him. And all I'm saying is, what did you see last year on the field that led you to believe as a GM that you want to take all that on because there's still something there? I don't see it.
hmm I hear you. I'm not for or against really either option, but it's going to be interesting, and you better believe we're going to cover it.
We sure are. How about another person that the internet claims is getting rejected, but I want to see what you think. So
All
apparently
right.
the other day, Kim Kardashian was shooting her shot on Instagram. She posted on her IG story asking followers if anyone knew when Luca would be playing because she wanted to meet him. And then she commented on the Lakers Instagram post where they featured Luca by saying, "I want to learn Slovenian." And the internet had some fun with memeing fake comments from Luca saying, like, please no, which seems like the majority of fans don't want Kim to actually meet Luca. But what do you think? Do we think that this is a match made in heaven? By the way, she deleted her IG story and her comment because people were like, stay away from him.
I didn't know that. That's so thirsty. What the hell? What is she doing, Elle? It ain't like we can't see her. She's like one of the most followed people on
The world.
Instagram. What?
Yeah, it feels like you could have reached out to your publicist and been like, I want to meet Lucas people. I
Bro,
mean,
she is thirsting. Is that for real?
she could have been. I'm trying to play devil's advocate. Maybe it was like tongue in cheek, like because everybody
I
accuses
bet
the
you she wants to give a
Kardashians
little tongue
of
in cheek.
oh God. I think I'm hoping it was tongue in cheek. Like you all think that all we do is just like target athletes. So like let me target the newest athlete. I gotta believe maybe it was like joking.
You think Kim Kardashian, who's known for her personality and sense of humor,
Okay.
L, just noted comedian, noted crowd work specialist, Kim Kardashian. They call her the Matt Rife of the Kardashian family. You think she was having a joke? Oh, that's so golly. And then she deleted it. There is no more, there's not a bigger indication of guilt than when you delete a comment. You gotta just let that ride. She's got 100 million Instagram followers. Of course, people spend their whole day paying attention to her social media activity. What are we doing? That's thirsty, L.
That's why I'd like to believe that it was like all a big joke because she knows everybody was gonna see that and like say that it was thirsty. And maybe she can like now say, like, oh, the joke was sort of miscommunicated. It
Mm.
wasn't a good. Have you ever shot your shot miserably and miserably failed?
L, my favorite L Duncan is the L Duncan who truly wants me to believe that Kim Kardashian was just workshopping some
Some
content
comedy bits.
on Instagram. Have I ever shot my shot? Have I ever shot my? No, L, I've told you this perennially. Uh, I've never approached a girl or a woman ever in a situation when I was eligible to, because my fear of rejection always outweighed the little bit of confidence I had in what if this goes right? So I can honestly say off the top of my head, I don't remember a situation where it just like crash and burn and I just got given the Heisman because I never put myself in a position to get the Heisman.
Yeah. That was a lot of words for Gary to basically just admit he has no game, which is what I have been saying
I told you
for the
that.
11 years I've known him.
But then say what you say after I admit I have no game.
And then you go, but that is the game.
That is the game. Hell, that is the hell, that is the
Listen,
game.
whatever you're doing, it works. I mean, you definitely bag someone way out of your league. So it's the charming charm, I guess. It works. You've definitely had some,
That
you've
is the
definitely,
game.
yeah,
Okay,
you
what
pull
about
them.
you, El? What about you? What about you?
You know what? I actually, it wasn't even me shooting my shot. You know, how sometimes someone offers you their phone number and they're like, oh my God, we should be like friends.
Uh-huh.
And I think I may have said this on the podcast before, but I met Lauren Sanchez, like Jeff Bezos's fiance, maybe wife. We don't know if they've gotten married yet. And like we hit it off. She was so cool. Like we were
Yeah.
chatting. She was like, "Oh my God, get my number." Like da 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 da. Da. I was
Oh,
like, "Okay." And then I think maybe it was like maybe like a month later, because it's always one of those situations where you're like, when am I gonna text? Like, I don't want to be a weirdo, and when am I gonna text you? And what does that look like? But she had made like a huge contribution to Hawaii after the fires.
yeah.
And I was telling her just about how much Hawaii meant to my family. I texted her and was like, what an amazing thing, like how incredible.
Yeah.
And I was like, hope you're doing well, blah blah. Left on red.
Oh, no. Oh,
I was
no.
like, well, okay.
Wait, she had read receipts on? Like you can see it was read at like
No, I
7:19
don't
a.m.
know. It
Oh,
just was,
okay.
I just say that.
Wait, but time
But
out.
yeah,
Did she circle back? Did she
no,
hit you?
no, no, no. Still waiting on the response, but that's fine.
Are you
Still,
sure it's the right number?
I don't know. I'm sure she's got multiple numbers. Most of these people do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was like, damn, that sucks. I mean, I didn't even shoot my, it's not like I was like, can I get your number? Like she's
Yeah,
like, we should
yeah.
exchange numbers. I was like, cool.
Just mad
And
casual. Yeah, yeah. And
yeah,
you
super
almost like a
cash.
throwaway. You're like, oh yeah, good idea, sure.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I've definitely done that to people, so I wasn't offended at all because I've definitely done that to people where I'm like, I don't know how to dismount out of this conversation, so let me give you the hope of like us continuing to communicate by giving you my phone number, knowing that I probably won't ever respond.
Damn. So you're like, damn, she's running my same playbook. That's
Yeah, she
crazy.
literally she took my game and then just like flipped the game on me. So I
So
was like, I can't be mad at this. But I was
next
like,
time
damn,
you
this
see
is
her,
I don't know.
what's the approach you're
I
taking?
am not going to go up to her for sure because I'm not. She wouldn't remember me. She meets a million people. She would not remember meeting me 2 years ago.
Okay, first of all, Elle, give yourself some credit. She would definitely remember meeting you.
I don't think
Are
so.
you serious?
Yeah, I don't think so. That's okay. It's not like we like hung out a whole night together. Like we had a cool exchange and
All
chatted
right.
and while we were waiting on drinks and then, but she was super nice lady. So nice, super cool. That's why I was like, okay. But I had a feeling. I was like, I'm never gonna end up talking to you again, am I? And
Just hey, just start sending her memes. Start sending her funny TikToks.
can I come on the yacht?
Trust me, that's the game.
Oh, is it? That's the game within the game.
That's the game, Elle. Yeah.
All right. Well, the real game, of course, is on Sunday, at in Columbia, the epicenter of women's basketball.
When you wheels up.
Saturday. I leave Saturday. We've got a 2 hour game day for y'all. Okay. Follow me here. It starts at 11 a.m. on ESPN for an hour. And then we're going to pop on over to ABC at noon and we'll be on for an hour leading in to the game, which tips at 1 o'clock on ABC. So it's going to be really fun. Lots of surprises. Me, Andrea Carter, Chinea Gumake, really excited to get the big three back together. It's been a bit. And celebrity guest picker is lit. That's all I'll say. That's
Oh,
all I'll
come
say.
on.
It's real lit.
Come,
So make
give
sure
us
you're
something.
watching and supporting and giving us lots of love. We would love for you to watch.
Who's the celebrity guest picker?
I'm going to tell you after.
Okay, fine.
I'm going
And
to
the
text it.
record.
I'm going to text it to you.